Hey, all you Warhammer fans, or Warhammer 40k fans, I should specify, or even non-Warhammer 40k fans. Today we're checking out Space Marine. This game came out quite a while ago. Truth be told, I actually bought this game close to release. And let me actually check on Steam, because I started this a very long time ago. A little side here before we get into the gameplay, though. So I actually started this way back in January of 2012. Got a few achievements, and I'm not sure why I bounced off of it, but I did. And I never came back until this year. I should say 2023. I read that they're going to be coming out with, Space Marine 2. It's been in development for a while. And it looks pretty cool. I've seen some of the gameplay footage of it, and I was like, I never finished the first one. I should really go back and play that, right? So this came out in 2011, so quite a while ago. The sequel's coming out 13 years later, which is crazy. And I had never played the first one, right? I played a snippet of it, and it was funny because when I came back to this game just recently, it's so old that I needed it was a mod that I had to install with it on Steam to actually make it enable 4K, I think it was. Because it would only run at like such a resolution. I forget what the resolution was, but it was so low, it just looked terrible. But I gotta say, whoever came up with the mod for this, good on you, because, man, the 4K mod for this, it looks great. And as a 12, 13-year-old game, this still looks great. I was actually pretty blown away by the aesthetics and some of the really big set pieces and stuff like that. And the gameplay's a lot of fun. There's some parts of it that I'm like, okay, this definitely feels like an older game, But I gotta say, I was actually pretty impressed playing through this. So we're gonna play through a bit of it today. And do a little review thingy here for you guys, because I'm getting close to the end. Like I'm a handful of chapters away from the end, and I was like, you know what? Like I should really maybe do a video for this for the channel, right? But man, it's really funny. Like it kind of it's like some kind of weird time traveling thing to be able to like go back to Steam and see the achievements and stuff that you were getting like 12, 13 years ago, and then come back to it and go like, okay, now I'm going to finish the fight, right? But it kind of blows me away that we have all of that stuff like recorded. You can go back and see it, and then to come back and go like, this is my unfinished business, right? I'm coming back to finish this. But anyway, guys, all that intro to say basically, like, I'm excited about the sequel. I wanted to come back and play the first one, so that way I'm ready for the sequel. The sequel looks like it's going to offer a whole lot more in terms of like enemies and weapons and stuff like that. But anyway, let's get into where I left off here. By the way, the online still functions for this game. I just want to say this up front. We're not going to be checking out the online, but it still functions for this game. I was able to get into a lobby with one other person. I am playing this like on a Sunday morning, so, there's probably nobody playing. I probably should have tried last night, Saturday night. Might have been able to find a game possibly. But it is cool because in the Steam forums there are people who get games together. So if you're a part of that, you could probably get into some multiplayer. But there's Versus and there's Exterminatus. Is that how you say it? Where it's kind of a co-op, which I assume is sort of a horde mode where you take out enemies. But there is Versus, and there are a ton of modes. Capture the flag, all this stuff, right? I think that the multiplayer's biggest downfall is that they segregated all of the modes separately, right? They even added in challenges too that you could go in. So this is like, like I said, like 12 years ago, and they're adding in the multiplayer challenges. They have all these different modes, but that's how you can tell it's a dated game, right? That's how you can tell it's an older experience, is that instead of putting you into what games do now, where they just drop you into a revolving checklist of things that you want to be a part of, or just switching up the mode and the map as you go every round. They're all separate, so each one of these I'd have to pick separately to be a part of, which is kind of annoying. And they even set, you know, the same thing up with Exterminus. It's like if you start search, you have to pick between the classic or the DLC stuff. And it's like, well, if you split it up, then you're going to have more segmented, you know, groups of people playing multiplayer matches. So anyway, I digress. Sorry, guys, long intro. I wanted to talk a little bit about the past, my past with this, a little bit about the multiplayer stuff. Let's get into the actual meat of it here. As you can see, we're already into part 412. I believe there's, if I remember right, there was like 16 chapters in this, so I'm pretty far into it. And here we're going to pick up this thing called an Iron Halo. By the way, I also want to go into this, let you guys all know that I have zero Warhammer 40k knowledge. I'm actually not even that big of a Warhammer. I would say I'm not a fan, because I like the Warhammer aesthetic and the 40k aesthetic. I love the idea of it, but I just, for whatever reason, have just never really gotten deep into it, right? But Space Marine is super... considering it's an old game now, which is unfortunate, so it's harder to, you know, you need like a mod to like play on a more contemporary system. I would say that this is very accessible to anybody. So with this Iron Halo, basically it's saying like you could take bigger hits, and only Ultramarine captains can take it. So while we are a Space Marine, we are also an Ultramarine, which it's really funny. I remember listening to Giant Bomb back then, all those years ago, and then playing this game saying it was pretty good, and them calling each other, you know, just saying like Space Marine, you know, in the middle of the podcast and stuff like that, which I remember fondly, which actually made me want to play this game more than the game itself. Let's see, here are some weapon options here. So you can shoot, you know, you get your shoot, you can zoom in. You have your melee, which I'm using an axe. This sledgehammer is awesome. We're going to switch back to the axe, though, in a minute, just because the sledgehammer... Look at this. Oh, man, it's cool. And there are actually some combos you can do, too. You can do the kick. Look at that. You can do the big slam. There's a lot of fun stuff. We're going to jump in here, though, right into the fray. And we're gonna do a little sniping. What do you say? Take that guy out. So these guys are all bad guys. Truth be told, I actually did play through this. Oh, gotta reload. I did actually play through this section a little bit before. That symbol on that guy, by the way, is execute, which I'm not close enough to get to him to do yet. But I played through this part before, and it looks like there's a set of barrels way on the other side to take out the orcs and stuff that were over there. And they look to be missing this time. Let me take this guy out. Take these guys out. So far, the game, I am playing on easy mode. Because I was continuing, believe it or not, continuing my game from like when I started way back in the day. And apparently I'd started on easy. And I was like, okay, we'll just start from here, I guess. But there are a couple hairy moments, and it's usually, like, you could tell here, like, the enemies aren't even paying attention to me. You know, this isn't that big a deal here. Like, we can handle this, right? I don't know if I'll get to him in time. Nope. You gotta get there. You gotta get there in time to do the executions. They won't just wait for you. But yeah, the hairier situations are usually when they just, like, dump a million enemies on you, and you're trying to melee through them because they're too close, or you're out of ammo, whatever it is. And those situations can get pretty hairy, but the game itself, when you're just doing the running and gunning and shooting and stuff, is pretty awesome. So, like I said, look at the gigantic structures in this. I had recently been playing the Warhammer 40k bolt gun, and I was like, I don't know if they use Space Marine or just, like I said, I don't know if 40k, because of my experience with it, or lack of experience, I should say, if this is just the aesthetic of everything in it. But I was like, man, bolt gun, even though it's got kind of like a, you know, a boomer shooter type style to it, you know, with the sprites and everything like that, it fits right in with this universe. I was pretty impressed when I came into this. It was like, oh wow, like you could definitely pull one game out and put it in with the other one and go, yeah, these are related, right? Okay, we're going to grab some ammo here. What do we got here? These are other guns. We haven't even been able to show off all the guns yet. I'll show off the Vengeance launcher in a second here. So every slot for you only have 4 slots for guns. Every gun so far has had, or not every gun, a few guns have had an upgrade, and some guns have been replaced with other guns. There we go. They do a really good job of storytelling in this too. Like the Marines constantly chatter with each other to talk about what's going on. Here we go, cutscene.
The Codex Astartes warns that those in league with Chaos can withstand the warp's touch.
You forget yourself, Ultramarine.
Leandros, I do not take this warp resistance lightly. But the search for answers must wait until after we deal with this Chaos invasion.
What if that is too late?
Leandros, enough. We need to keep moving.
So as you can see, tension. Possible betrayal coming up. Probably not. These guys are pretty hardcore as far as loyalty goes. Let's see. We'll get some more grenades here. So I'm kind of dipping into all these rooms because there are collectibles. You'll see in the pause menu here, there's these servo skulls. We've gotten 28 of them so far. Not playing with a guide, by the way. Just playing on my own accord. So I really just wanted to jump into this and enjoy it without constantly looking at a guide. And honestly, I don't really care about the collectibles that much. I'm just kind of like, every now and then I'll run around looking for them. Hey, there's one there. See? And they're honestly not that hard to find. Each one offers an audio log. We're going to kind of pass on those for the playthrough here. But I will say that they do give you a lot more backstory and information on things. If you are super into the 40k lore, I think you'll find a lot to like there. For me personally, like I said, not much experience with it, so a lot of it kind of falls on deaf ears for me, where I'm just like, okay, yep, the thing and the thing, the guy took the thing, uh-oh, they're killing the guy who had the thing. You know what I mean? It's like, for me, it's just, it's not bad. It's just, I don't know anything about it. For me, this is like just a real fun, runny, shooty game with like crazy aesthetics, right? But I like it. More big set pieces here. And this might look really brown and kind of generic to some people. But there are some landmark set pieces. Whoa, what's going on over there? It's more of those chaos guys. But there are some set pieces where they had like this big spire that we blew up. That was amazing. It was like super like purpley in the sky. We blew it up, and I was like, wow, this is cool. I was really blown away by that. Again, the tech that we had all these years later. This is really fun, by the way. Sniping enemies. It just, the sniper rifle might be my favorite in games because you just pop up and take them out. Anyone else here? I wish there was like a small... Ah, there is more! Yeah, we're going to start using this guy here. We shoot this off. These create little explosions for us to use. Take that guy out. Oh, he is stumbled, but he's not out. But yeah, sometimes it can be hard to see where the enemies are, if there's any left. In the beginning of the game, I felt like they would show you the fist to know that that's the way to go, which is nice to give you a direction. But at times, like, there'll still be like an enemy or two lingering down there somewhere, because the AI in this, it's fine, but it's not great. Oh, more of these guys. The devils. The Chaos Devil dudes. Okay, you're done. You're done. Here, let's get in there and get some melee going. Look at that. Boom. But yeah, it was just kind of annoying that I would get to the door, there'd be like a guy shooting me in the back. I was like, see, like that. I had no idea that guy was still here. He's from like the original mob that showed up, not the current one we were just fighting. But I will say on easy mode, like, they're pretty generous with the hits and everything like that, as long as you don't put yourself in a stupid situation. Oh, grenade. As long as you don't put yourself in a real dumb situation, you're going to be fine. You shouldn't really worry too much. Oh, the grenade guy. He's really throwing those. Once I get into a more dense mob, I'll start throwing some grenades too. They're actually pretty helpful. That's the other thing, is like the executions are really fun to do, but I find myself like not being able to get close enough to the enemies when they pop. So you'll have an execution thing pop up. Primarily in the beginning of the game, they pop up when you're doing melee, so it's not a big deal. So you can just hit E and go. But I also found even on easy that when I would do an execution in the middle of it, even if I was around, like, say, just a few enemies, let's say like a handful of them, I'd execute one, and I felt like as soon as I got out of the execution, even though the execution... Oh, this just connects, okay. Sometimes these don't connect. They have a collectible on the other side. Yeah, so the melee, you do the execution, and even though the execution is supposed to give you health back, which is helpful in those dire situations, you come out of the execution, and these other guys would just be pummeling you because they're right next to you. And I found it to be pretty... Uh-oh. This is not good. Here, we'll throw a grenade. Boom. Pretty helpful, right? Took them both out.
Space Marine. They were on us almost immediately.
Captain Titus, are you there? This is Lieutenant Mira. This whole planet has gone mad.
The forces of chaos are invading this world. We must get to the Titan and destroy that warp.
I know what route to take. I deployed troops to man outposts between the Calkins facility and Bastion Primus. From there, you can access the rail network and cross to Manufacturer Majakis.
Understood. I will meet you there.
But yeah, as I was saying, not to belabor the point here, but basically that, you know, the health that you would gain from the execution is kind of negated by the fact that, like, the rest of the enemies surrounding you just, like, pummel you right after you get done with it. So for a lot of it, it didn't seem worth doing them, you know? And that was kind of annoying. Okay, I'm just making sure I'm not missing any of those, what are they called again? The servo skulls. Make sure I'm not missing any of those. So yeah, anyways. Also, so parts of the story and everything I really like. Some of it is really easy to understand. You know, there was a betrayal, and then those Chaos Legion, whatever they're called, like started storming in and taking over. It's like, okay, this I get. When they use some of the more specific lingo, like what did they say? The Bastion Prime, whatever they said. I was like, oh, right, that thing. Right. I'm not sure that I have context for that. Or maybe I'm just not paying attention enough. I don't know. We're going to swap that sniper rifle for the laser cannon. This laser cannon is sweet. This thing... let's see here. Oh, see, there's a guy. It's basically a sniper rifle, but with, like, really powerful lasers. So I'm just looking for skulls. No way panic. There, got him. That Orcs, he's stupid. He's still trying to attack that Chaos guy, even though I already killed him. Alright, let's go in here and see what we can do. One of the other reasons I wanted to showcase this, this game, though, is because I know that the inspirations for, like, Quake were that of, like, D&D and everything, but I gotta say, and you guys correct me in the comments here, I'm sure you'll tell me, but I'm actually pretty taken aback by how much this game reminds me of Quake. The skulls, the brown, the architecture, things that are dilapidated. Like, obviously this is more advanced than, like, you know, Quake from 96. There's several years between the two, right? Oh, we got a guy up there. Boom. See that? Try to take that guy out. There we go. He's gone. But the skulls, the look, the feel, I was just like, this feels a lot like Quake. Like, a lot. What are you doing here? Just hanging? You'll even see some of those, oh, guy up there. Take him out. Okay, he's done. Whoa. Where did that come from? Some of the lower ranking soldiers that we actually just passed earlier look a lot like Ranger. Oh, can I get to this guy? Oh, geez. The execution window for these guys is so small. But I was kind of taken aback by that. I was like, oh, wow. So these guys look a lot like Ranger from Quake. Are we sure that Quake doesn't take place in the 40K universe? Because it kind of feels like it does. Besides the gigantic, bulky armor, I was like, this could easily, like, cross over, you know? I don't know if anybody else felt that way. But it was definitely giving me that vibe. Run up here and get some grenades. Whoa, and I fell off. Okay, wasn't expecting that. We were talking about the enemy AI being kind of dumb. Your crew here of AI dudes, also very dumb. There are times where, like, I'm shooting enemies and they're not doing anything. Like right now, I don't think they're doing anything. I think they got to have like perfect line of sight or something. Take that guy out, that guy. Just not too big a deal because on easy, none of this stuff has been super difficult to deal with. Come on, reload. There's a Space Marine. So yeah, I'm not really complaining about it too much, but I feel like if I was on a more tough difficulty, it would be more of a problem because I'm already doing all the heavy lifting on my side anyway. But if it were up to the AI, my squad, to help me out at certain times, I don't think things would get done. I think they get caught up on geometry and... Any skulls around here? Oh yeah, one of the other things too, I think we were... talking about the weapon stuff. So yeah, this plasma pistol that I have here, it's infinite ammo, so you always have a weapon that you could use at the end of the day. Like this. See? But your other weapons have been swapped out or upgraded at one point. So like this bolter I've always had, which is number 2, that has gotten an upgrade. But 3 and 4 I have upgraded several times to, or changed to different weapons. So the Vengeance Launcher you've seen the laser cannon and the sniper rifle. The only one you may not have seen yet is more of a really powerful shotgun type weapon. I think it's called the Melter, which if we get a chance to switch over, we'll take a look at it. But all the weapons in this game are pretty fun. I wouldn't say that they're super creative or anything like that. Again, feel very, very much like a Quake or Quake 2 type of feeling with most of the weapons. The most interesting is probably the Vengeance Launcher, just because it shoots out those balls of energy that you get to choose when they explode, which is pretty cool. So those don't explode on their own. You actually have to hit reload, and then they explode. Oh, another cutscene.
How can we face them?
Trooper, yourself together right now.
See, look, the trooper here. Look how much this guy looks like Ranger.
Back towards the bastion.
Crazy, right?
This position.
It's gotta be right from Quake. And look, here's the Doom Marine right next to him.
Greetings, Ultramarines.
What is your situation?
As well as can be hoped, considering we are surrounded on all sides by the enemy horde. We're heading back to the Captain.
Okay, and what... Okay, we're still in Chapter 12. Okay. Sometimes chapters will change and they don't tell you. Actually finished a chapter previously, and then, like, when I looked again, I was like, oh, I guess that little segment was a chapter. Interesting. Try to blow up those barrels every chance I get. Alright. The orcs never give up. The thing you're not seeing in this playthrough that I'm showing you today, though, is that there are some big, tough orcs. Some real big dudes who will show up, and you gotta be real careful around them, because they will eat you up. Right now we're getting a lot of these yellow guys. These yellow guys can be a pain because they come in a couple different flavors. They can get a minigun. They get the grenade launcher like that guy in the back's getting ready to shoot one at me. Okay, we are out of laser. So we're going to run up here. The other type of game I would compare this to is at the time when this came out, you know, Gears of War, I think, was kind of... I wouldn't say in its prime. I think Gears 2 was probably its prime. Gears 3, maybe it was kind of hitting the downslide. But this came up, came out around the time of Gears 3, if I'm guessing correctly. There was no skull back here. It would have been a perfect spot. But there's no cover system. So in this, if you need cover, you just kind of got to run behind stuff. So you're like, oh, orc shooting? Okay, I'm going to stand here. And at least on easy, the AI is dumb enough that they don't usually like run around to get you. Oh yeah, one of the other things, because we're just mainly showcasing the shooting gameplay, and to be quite honest, that is the majority of what this game is. Like, it is probably 80 to 90% what we're doing right now. But there are other parts of the game where they change things up a bit. There's like a real thin, small level where you're... Oh, that was 4 out of 5. What are we at? We're at 30 of these skulls now. That's good. I think there's 48 altogether. So we're making some progress on those. But yeah, there's this really thin, short level where what they do is they have you on like a turret on a ship as you're flying, and you're shooting these goblins who are riding these rockets through the air, which is pretty funny. I like that they kind of changed it up there. That was a lot of fun. But in addition to that, there was sort of like, I wouldn't call it a stealth area, but it was definitely an area where you had to make sure you're utilizing cover more, because they had a lot of... I was looking to see if they have the melter in here, but they just don't, they're not providing us with it. But the level, like, you had to take more cover because there's all these like enemy turrets that were like up in the raptors. See, by the way, look at the aesthetic up there with the skull and everything. It totally reminds me of the Quake universe. Quake 3, you know? Here shooting, looking for skulls. But yeah, so avoiding those turrets and like trying to grab cover and stuff like that, it was fun that they kind of changed it up a bit. It really wasn't stealth, but it was as stealth as this game gets. So I thought I was a welcome change, because I was like, man, I've been just like kind of shooting forever. Wow, these guys take a lot of hits. Typically with all of these enemies, you're aiming for the head, because if you're shooting them in the back, you can see they are bullet sponges, right? If you shoot them in the head, their head will just kind of pop. And that's what you want, because it'll take them down quick. Alright, we are back to the sniper rifle here. Blew that guy up. That was nice. See, the difference between this and the laser cannon... Where'd you guys come from? Oops. Wrong button. The difference between these guys, or this weapon and the laser... There's a bigger orc there. Is that the laser will just cut through armor and everything. This, you gotta really aim and try to get those headshots. Like so. Because you could take them down 2 or 3 hits, but you don't want to waste that ammo, you know? Oh, there's somebody coming. Oh, the big explodey guy. Or not big at all. Small explodey guy. I can hear another one. Where is it? They send those little exploding ugly dog things at you. There it is. See it? So you want to try to take those out, because those guys will mess your team up. And speaking of messing the team up, it's mostly just messing you up. If you get hurt or die, then you're toast. You know, you're going to start that checkpoint over. Your team does not have any kind of like a health bar or anything like that. You're not going to be spending your time. That's one of the things I think I prefer from Gears of War, is that you're not going to spend time like resuscitating your team. That guy was like stuck in there. Because I always felt like having to do that in Gears, it was fun. Probably in the first game, you're like, oh, this is kind of unique. I haven't had to do this in a game before. But by the time you're playing like second, third game or whatever, you're like, okay, like I get this mechanic. Like, do we have to keep doing this, you know? Almost feels like it should have been like a toggleable thing. Resuscitate, you know, teammates or whatever. It's just like, no. kind of done with that. Oh, there's a big orc up there. Remember I was talking about big orcs? Look at that guy. I don't think he's going to jump down, though. I keep hearing the dogs. I will say the exploding dogs, though, that is... those are enemies that usually the team are better at grabbing. Like, I'll hear one, and usually they'll snap it up for me. So they're usually pretty good about that. Alright, let's go back to this guy. There we go, I got him. So one of the things I'm really looking forward to in Space Marine 2 is that there's going to be co-op. Don't know that there's co-op in this one. I would assume not. I was like, where are you guys at? There we go.
Over here.
Yeah, we'll use the lift in a second. I gotta search for collectibles. Alright, nothing over here. Not accessible.
Well met, Mira.
Jonah, I half expected it.
See? Good banter. It's always very proper, though. Oh, here we go. Finally got the melt gun. So we will use the melt gun, I think it was called, and we are going to also trade back to the laser cannon. And what am I using for melee? The axe. There's the sword. Let's use the chain sword for a bit. We haven't been doing much melee though, to be quite honest. So, all right, let's use the lift here.
Your report, Jonah.
But yeah, mainly wanted to cover this because I like the idea of going back in the past
Engage Chaos
and
forces
playing a
down
game.
until I get reinforcements down here to back you up.
Aye, Lieutenant.
I have a feeling he's not going to listen. Don't engage with Chaos Legion until we have backup. My guy doesn't really. He's too much of a badass. He just can't resist. But I love the idea of coming back to a game that is this old and just kind of like giving my thoughts on it, and especially like with good things to say about it. I know this is just like for a lot of people just a dumb run and gun type of game, but I'm just having a good time with it. I think it's a lot of fun, and I'm glad I came back to it to regardless if it's for the story or the gameplay or whatever it is, with the sequel coming. I was just really glad to come back to it and be able to play it all these years later on Steam. It's one of my big things. I've talked about it on the channel and other videos, but like, as far as digital games go, where I'm going to be buying games, I'm only going to be buying games on, say, like an Xbox or Nintendo storefront digitally now, if I can get them super cheap or something. I'm going to be sticking to Steam now for just about everything. There's a skull.
The Ultramarines and I are almost at your position. Mira,
All right. Sounds like it's going to be a big thing coming up here. But yeah, I'm going to be sticking to Steam for all my digital purchases now because, like, with things like this, you have smart people who are, making mods. Little sip of coffee there. But they're making mods to keep these games playable all these years later. And how can you not invest in a library of games where you have dedicated people like that, I think it's amazing. And on top of that, you have like some of these other studios, so like Night Dive Studios and stuff, who are purposely going out of their way to find like older licenses to remaster and put out on Steam. Games that were FPSs that were only available on like PlayStation are now, or N64 or something like that, are now available on Steam to play with a mouse and keyboard, which is delightful. So I have a really hard time like understanding why anybody would give any of these bigger companies, Sony, Microsoft, whatever, their money for digital experiences when they know they may not have access to those later on the console at some point. Oh, here's another skull. It's weird. Sometimes they'll put these skulls. Yes, 32 out of 48. The number just popped up. It's weird that they'll put these skulls just like 2 in a row, like they just did, then you won't have one for like 10 minutes. So it's strange. Hard to know if you're actually getting all the skulls or not. So we're getting a new swap the laser cannon for the plasma gun. Yeah, I guess we're gonna do it so that way we can check it out. Plasma gun unlocked. Let's see. Fires charged energy pulses, able to damage heavily armored targets. This weapon is deadly but prone to overheating. Let's continue. Is this it? So it's weird. It looks a lot like the plasma pistol, but it's a plasma gun. So these have infinite ammo. You just have to vent them, which I'll show you what I mean in a second. Again, great collapsing architecture. Pretty fun. Let's see what we got around the bend here. We're going to throw a grenade. Boom. Alright, so we're going to be doing some horde stuff here. We're defending. Oh, get it going. There we go. Grenade! This new plasma gun's pretty good. So they do a good job of, like, you know, doling out new weapons and stuff throughout the game. I will say the one thing that I have not been using and I haven't been talking about, and I don't even remember the name of it, but it's that power-up that I have down there in the bottom left. I'm sure it's like, it sticks out to everybody else like a sore thumb because it's yellow and glowing and pulsating, but I never use it. So here, I'll activate it. What it does is it basically, like, heals you. It improves your melee, makes you more powerful from what I understand. But, like, I don't know, for me personally, I don't know why, I just haven't found it, like, that interesting. Or helpful, for that matter. Oh, and I was wrong. The pulse gun does not have infinite ammo. Okay, what are we doing here? Oh no. Get away from me. Get away from me. Oh, we're getting the bigger guys coming here. Throw the grenade. Those guys are raging out. Alright, can I get some ammo? There we go. I want to take out this guy, because he is... There we go. He is a pain in my ass. Alright, we got some big orcs coming. See this guy? We're not letting him get close, though. That's the thing. There he is. Oh. Execute! Execute! There we go. There we go. We finally got one in. After all this time. Oh, boy. Weird how it's, like, save content, like, right in the middle of the fight like that. Considering we didn't hit a checkpoint or anything. I don't understand what it's saving. It's over here. Oh, that is the way to go. I'm going to go the other way. Make sure I check for skulls. But yeah, you know, guys, I think that's a really good look at this game. That is Space Marine, at this point, you know, 13-year-old game, which I think is still a lot of fun to play if you're into just like running and gunning and, you know, like a quick story. It's a game that, even though it's a run and gun style game, it does a really good job of telling its story. You know, sometimes you get these games that don't tell much of a story at all. You know, so it's nice that you get in here, even if the story is somewhat, you know, deep in the lore of Warhammer, which I'm not going to fault the game. I'm faulting myself for that. But either way, this game is available on Steam still. Sega updated it as the Anniversary Edition, which I think means it just comes with like all the DLC and some art books and the soundtrack and stuff like that. At one point, this game was like discounted super heavily before the Anniversary Edition came out. But I'm really surprised. Like, it was super quiet. They basically didn't say it was coming. And they also didn't do like any kind of a remaster or advertisement that the Anniversary Edition was available now. It's very strange. I don't understand why they did that. You think they'd want to get more eyes on the series, considering Space Marine 2 is coming out soon. But hey, what do I know? But anyway, this is available on Steam. It's a great little game. I recommend checking it out. And thanks for watching, guys. I will see you all in the next one.